Joining me now is Suzanne Muna, who's from the housing campaign group SHAC. Hello, Suzanne.
Hello there.
Just thinking about listening to what Shannon was saying there. Any advice for her? Is that similar to other cases that you hear about?
Yeah, it absolutely is. We've got lots of cases on SHAC's book who are in a very similar position, where the housing that they're in is unsuitable either because, and it sounds like Shannon has got a combination of things, the damp and mould, the unsuitability of the conditions of the home, but also this huge overcrowding. And it is very, very difficult to get people, into some kind of secure and suitable accommodation. I think the only thing that she can do is continue trying to get the council's attention, to speak to her councillors, to speak to her MP, and to just really make as much fuss as possible. But that's a very unsatisfactory way about going about it, isn't it?
Yeah, 2,500 people on that council housing waiting list in Crawley. And so why are there these waits, Suzanne? What do you see from your point of view?
Well, I think you put your finger on it when you said that there's lots of house building going on, but actually, so the supply, this kind of promise that we get from government on the supply side, that is happening. There is house building going on. The problem is that actually not enough of it is being allocated as affordable or social housing, social rent. And social rent is one of the most subsidised forms of rent, so that is the cheapest. It does make it much more affordable for people. And what happens is that councils will partner with big developers and big corporate landlords like housing associations. And once spades are in the ground, once that project is underway, having promised 40 or even 50% social housing or affordable housing, what they end up doing is saying, oh, we just can't make the scheme work financially if we carry on with that level, we're dropping it down. And you get a succession of reduced targets, and we see projects that end up with absolutely zero new social housing being provided, even though this is public money going into building with the idea that it's actually going to provide a whole load more social and affordable housing.
So, I mean, we need to hold these developers to their promises. I'm looking at an article on the BBC News website for Sussex from earlier in the year, July this year, where a developer that had promised some affordable homes with their scheme in Battle, so 20 residences, some of those are supposed to be affordable. At one point, they went back to the council and says, we can't do these, and the council had to let them off it, essentially. So all the promises are at the front end, and the delivery just never happens.
Exactly. But I think it even more than holding the developers to account. I think what we need to be doing is building through the council with directly employed, construction workers within the council, so that the council has full control and they're actually delivering new council homes. I mean, one article that I read this morning, one of the councils was saying that something like 80% of its budget is going on temporary accommodation, which is very, very expensive.
Crawley are saying that 2 in every £3 of the council tax that comes into them is spent on a temporary accommodation. That's huge. What about all the other things the council has to do with that money?
And I think that's the point as well, because if we build council housing, it stands to reason, it's just glaringly obvious that any money that is paid in rent, whether it's in, rental for temporary accommodation, or just for, the ordinary rent levels, that is being recycled back into the public purse. It makes far more sense economically to be building and owning council housing and recycling any money back into the public sector, and that can go on repairing the homes if they need repaired so they can be kept to a decent standard. It can go on building new homes. It can go on other housing support services. So you haven't got this drain of money into the pockets of private landlords and private developers.
Just on a final point, Suzanne.
Is putting it.
Yeah, just on a final point, on the government, they say that they want to build more council homes. And do you see the start of that? Is that getting going? Is that something that you're seeing actually start to happen now?
We haven't seen it. We haven't seen this yet. What government seems to be focused on is this kind of build, baby, build idea. We just need to build new homes. But then, as you say, the promises are front-loaded around, well, of course, it'll deliver all this new affordable and social housing, because that's where the crisis is. It's a crisis of affordability, not of supply. And government isn't insisting that 100% of these schemes, or a much higher percentage of these schemes, are actually social or affordable housing, and yet it is public money that is going into them.
Okay. Suzanne, thank you so much. Suzanne Mooner there from the housing campaign group SHAC.